Nice little chill beat in the background. How you like that? We like that. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the last stream of the week. The last stream of the week over here. But we are not done with trading yet. We still got another beautiful day coming up tomorrow. It's gonna be Friday, and we all know how Friday gets Patty Daddy very excited, especially if it's in a certain direction. Let's not try to jinx it by saying the word too much, and especially right off the open. But we can't wait. We can't. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait if it ends up being that type of day tomorrow. And we'll be looking for all the opportunities to possibly dive into and trade around and chart for all the trades that are happening. Some of the earnings movers, some of the news movers, some stocks that moved around today for some random reason that we didn't really look at it. But then we found some trades on it later on, or we were able to find some new ways to look at the stock market and maybe look at them trades later on off of those new ways. So we'll talk about all these things going forward. I'm trying to actually remember. There was a stock that I already had that one on my watch list. Good. I was trying to remember if there was another stock though that Google is disrupting by getting into their space. I'm trying to remember the ticker. I'll probably remember it somewhere down the road through the stream, but if you guys remember what that ticker is, please throw it in the chat. And that also gives me the segue over here to the next part, which is, hey, let me know how your day went. Were you green? Were you red? How's your week going so far? And are you ready for that banger day that we're gonna have tomorrow? So let's see who's in the chat so far. I see Dan Duval, Australia's over here. Been a while. Glad you're still working it. You know how to do. We're still work. See me do me dur. Just gotta keep doing it. Ain't no one stopping us. Nothing but death. Nothing but God stopping us. Right? Maybe when we go broke and not have any more money to trade, that will also stop us. But no, that's not stopping us. Once again, welcome to the Pratty Daddy Show, where we talk about all of our trades today. My day, however, sadly, very equivalent to how yesterday went. I lost exactly the same amount of money as I lost yesterday. I had pretty equivalent track record as I had yesterday. I maybe 2 winners out of 11 stocks traded. I think it's the exact same numbers we had yesterday, which is kind of crazy, right? We were talking about yesterday how that's like a rare thing, and now we've had the same thing happen twice. So that's a little bit of a oofsies. But hey, that's fine. We're not really too hurt. We can easily bounce back. All we need to, is find that one big trade, that one good trade, and smash it. And that one trade will pay for these two days of losses. And I promise you that will happen. So we just gotta look out for the right trades tomorrow and see how not to make some of the mistakes that we made today. So why don't we start off with looking at my trades on the day today and recap on those positions. Over here on the screen, first up you see is let's not show that one. We'll talk about, actually, yeah, screw it. Let's go with Alcoa. AA, we were looking at it yesterday for you guys on the stream around 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock stream, obviously yesterday, the 8 o'clock stream. We mapped out some of the levels that we possibly could be interested in on the stock. Right down over here, the 52-week low and that descending triangle trend line that we put down yesterday. If for any reason the stock had negative earnings, it would possibly move down over here. The earnings already came out in this position, however, I believe yesterday pre-market, the stock didn't do, after hours, and yesterday after hours the stock really didn't do too much in that earnings report, right? No volume, no move to the downside. It was just chilling. So if for any reason today it moved, I was looking for a trade for me to get into. Didn't really get the opening drive all the way into the 52-week low and just breaking that 52-week low. That was a clean break to the downside. You could have gotten into that break, but later on you see how the stock consolidates in this area. That could have been a decent enough of an indication for me to not make this mistake, right? This consolidation over here should have kept me away from just throwing in a blind order at that 52-week low, 25.59. And I'm just right there, 25.59, 25.60. I'm just blindly throwing that order in there and waiting to see if when the stock goes up there, then I'll pull up the stock and then I'll trade it. That's that cost me a little bit of money, even though it was very minimal shares. It doesn't matter. That cost me about near 20 cents for no damn reason, right? So that's a waste of money over there. Then later on, once I do realize, hey, the stock is going against me way too far, way too quickly, let me actually pull it up and see what's going on. And then I see that there's buying and there's a lot of action happening. So I just punch out of this trade. And now I'm watching it to see if there's actually a trade for me to pull off. Later on, when the stock starts to print to the downside over here, you see my entry, but then I do get stopped out on the break of that high. I'm fine with it. But after I do get stopped out on the break of that high, I'm also looking at what the stock looks like on a longer time frame. The longer time frame, yesterday's close, 26.52. Yesterday's VWAP coming in right around $26.08. The fail break of 26 to the north side after having this type of move on this position allowed me to think about a possible re-entry to the short side. So fail break of 26 and no follow through, especially after this consolidation over here, taking that short entry, I think that's fine. Right, that short entry is fine. This one's not fine. I think this one's fine too, honestly, because it could have started working over here, but that 26 fail break had to happen. It had to weaken up this area a little bit more, really test the buyers if they were there. The 26 follow through did not have any buyers, so they started selling into that area. So no follow through, punching short, taking profits, and here is where I go full stupid. I just start going, hey, the stock is under today's VWAP. Let's just start shorting today's VWAP like a madman, no matter what. Any sort of rejections that I see on the tape, the smallest sort of rejections I see on the tape, I start shorting it. We got to understand chart patterns a little bit more, right? This consolidation should have stopped us from taking this entry, but this same consolidation should have stopped me from looking for an entry in this area. I should have possibly just managed my position from that area and you know, looked for a breakout over here with an actual follow through of that breakout for an entry to add to my position. Or I should have waited for the 52-week low to come back into play, at which point you see how it's basically double topping at the previous 52-week low. The new 52-week low is wherever the stock is at and where we closed today. But the previous 52-week low, the stock comes back above today's VWAP. Today's VWAP, irrelevant. I think, you know, I'm starting to see this more and more where today's VWAP is actually very irrelevant for how the stock trades, because it's forming based on all the action that's happening today. So notice how yesterday's VWAP was very relevant for today's move, right? Yesterday's VWAP rejecting today's top basically over here. And I think today's VWAP will be a little important tomorrow. Based on this move over here overall, though, I should have just waited for that 52-week low double top. I could have gotten short over here for a nice move to the downside, gotten short over here for an even bigger move to the downside, at which point I could have added a little bit more and a little bit more all the way to the downside. I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. We're just thinking about how can we improve on our trading setups. We need to stop taking these monkey shots over here. Our entries for the right trades have gotten a lot better. That's for sure, right? So shout out to my manager for that. Our entries are have gotten a lot better, but I need to stop monkeying around in some of these levels where the stock market has already kind of indicated that, hey, we have found a bottom for the day. Maybe we do break it later on if the market really starts selling off, and that market does sell off, which triggers this bigger move to the downside on AA Alcoa. But in general, this move could have easily held up and bounced right back up to the north side. So, you know, there's some tricky areas over here to get short. It's possible just not to do anything with the stock after having this type of trade, but we'll talk about possible trades for this position tomorrow. Always a great video, says SAT. I appreciate the love. Tesla, one of our profitable trades on the day. I think one of our most profitable trades on the day, actually. But I don't actually trade Tesla throughout the day at all. I tried trading TSLL at one point because it's easier for me to manage my risk. So I do try trading TSLL at one point. I think Tesla was actually going higher over here when I was trying to look for that short on TSLL. And then eventually I just gave up. I said, you know what? I can't get this trade thesis right. You know, off the open higher, later on goes down. Now we're bouncing back to VWAP. The stock could easily just go back higher. I've seen Tesla go red to green on earnings days like that, so I'll just stay away from it. But eventually at some point, that 220 area, I think, yeah, the 220 level coming down, I just had to try the 220 break short. There was a decent amount of size on that 220, so looking for the break of that area and some follow through, but there was actually not a lot of follow through. 219.50 was holding as a bid on Tesla, so noticing that, I got some shares out over there and I was holding some for a bigger move. That bigger move never really came, and I get stopped out on a move back up over here on this position, allowing me to grab about, I think, a total of 70 cents at best from that 220 break. And the stock does manage to go back all the way down later, but notice how at that moment, basically bounces right back up, and that's the pretty much the low of day at that point, as we move right back to the higher end of these Bollinger Bands, or these 50 period EMAs that I have over here, which is on the 1 minute chart. But overall, Tesla down 10% today, absolutely getting smoked after their earnings. I mean, they did miss on revenue and EPS, but they beat on every other number except for operating margins, which we knew was going to happen. So I think this was a little bit of overselling Tesla, which was very close to 300, and everyone wanted to see that 300 come into play. It's going to have to wait a little bit more. We'll talk about possible trades on Tesla later on in the day as we get to the charting session. Roblox. I was actually watching Roblox for quite a bit because someone in our Discord server, shout out to our Discord server members, was looking at Roblox and trading Roblox. So I had it up on my second screen, just on the charts, looking at the stock move. At this point, I don't know what happened, but Roblox absolutely buy program triggering and just launched up to the north side. Monster move overall. So shout out to Roblox, and moving up to that level $32 that we were very, very interested in previously, but we never got the chance to trade the stock. So waiting for that 32. Once again, I do the same mistake of just blindly throwing an order at that previous level high, which is 31.95, and then I throw a stop on the break of 32. 32 does manage to break and the stock goes higher. This share size very small, fine, whatever, doesn't really cost me on this trade. But the whole idea of using this as an alert system is such a bad habit of mine, and I think this comes from Trader TV Live, right? Having to do the show, having to entertain people and to try to educate people, whatever I know, has given me this bad habit of, Neil kind of does this too, which is just throw a minimum share size entry at places that you might be interested in. So when the stock goes there, then you can kind of manage it. So having to manage it, I do lose about 10 cents on that trade, which is still pretty stupid to do so. Later on, when the stock does go above 32 and failure to follow through above 32, like the other stock that we had previously on the day that we just talked about, Roblox having the failure to follow through above 32, that gives me the perfect entry with a very tight risk and that beautiful reward to the downside. However, I didn't really see that this bigger move happening because Roblox was holding up pretty damn well in these areas, so that made me just completely close the position and not really look for a bigger move down over here. I could have gotten back when it does pop up over here and starts rejecting again for a possible quick little scalp over here. But I think overall staying away from this trade was the right idea. We're gonna later on in the day talk about, or later on in the stream, talk about how we possibly could, even if we do miss these type of moves on the day, how can we possibly get in for a secondary or tertiary, is that even a word, or a third move if there on positions like this? Because this is programmed buying, all right? If this programmed buying is real, we want to see if that buying comes back in at the average price of this move over here. So we're going to talk about that later on as we get deeper and deeper into our charting session. So Roblox is on the watch list as that 32 area to up to 32.50 is coming back into play. Monster move to the north side on that position. All right. STLD, Steel Dynamics, had earnings, I think, yesterday pre-market or yesterday after hours or today pre-market. I honestly forget if it was, I think it was yesterday after hours, right? I could be wrong. Either or, after having flat/negative earnings report, sorry, man, I have a frog in my throat. It's all that vaping. Speaking of which. Okay, STLD, you know, after having that negative earnings report, it actually started popping up higher. Even with the negative move in pre-market, it started going higher and higher, and was positive at one point on the day, right at not yesterday's high, but the day before that high. So that happens to be the Tuesday's high. So right around Tuesday's high, and I was watching the stock very closely, watching it like a hawk. It just kept going higher and higher and higher and higher. And then once I started seeing the stock kind of curling to the downside is when I started going short. I go short, I get a little bit of a move to the downside. I don't take any profits. I set my trailing stop, however, at the high of this move, which triggers, and I make a little bit of money. Not too much, but a little bit of money on that trade. Later on, when the stock does come back to that area, pops back up to that high right above 108, but then drops back down. Notice that entry, beautiful entry. But where do I screw up on this trade? I don't set the stop properly. The stop should have been right above 108, 108.50, whatever the high of this move is, right? I should have risked that whole dollar for a $2 move, $3 move in the stock's VWAP where it was. It would have easily given me that, even if this move wasn't warranted from what happened. So I should have been willing to risk that $1. I just wasn't willing to risk that $1. So I had a pretty shitty stop. It was right around this move's high. And that stop triggers, I just kind of say, oh man, come on, that's bullshit. I don't want to look at the stock anymore. It doesn't really have too much volume today. And I'm gonna just walk away from it because I could just be wrong on the stock today, right? It went from red to green. It could easily just keep going higher and higher and higher above that Tuesday's high and just keep launching. I could be wrong. Later on, I actually find out that this stock, well, I'm still watching it, but I'm not ready to take a trade on this move. It starts plummeting and the conference call was going on. So that was a bigger move over here. I think, you know, I need to do a little bit more research. I do a lot of work already, but I need to do a little bit more research, a little bit more homework as to what times these stocks have their conference calls, if they've already had their conference calls and so on. And if the stock is having a conference call during market hours and I'm trading it, very light size and be very quickly ready to punch out of that trade or get back into that trade, especially if the conference call is working. I think you can join the conference calls too, right? Never been in one of those, but you can join those too if you're trading that stock. Did not know about that at that moment. One of my managers, when he was reviewing my trades, he pulled up the stock, he looked at what time the conference call was, and he's like, yep, that was the conference call move. And you know, basically if you were doing a little bit more homework, you would have seen that, and 100% right, missed that big move to the downside. Monster move. And how we were talking about to catch this short right back in around these areas, using on that Roblox trade. We'll also talk about STLD, which will be on our watch list. I'll be pretty interested to trade the stock tomorrow if it gives us some trades, but I think this one might be a little overdone. I mean, a big drop, 108, 107, let's say, all the way down to $100/$99 around 342. So big sell off intraday for this stock. So we'll talk about it for possible trades tomorrow. TSM is monster rally off the open, taking off that one of the levels, I guess, that we had yesterday mapped out for us right around here, getting above that level, and then eventually coming back and I guess holding the level over here. And every time it tries to hold that level, I'm basically going long, scalping it, getting long, scalping it, getting long, scalping it. I do end up making a decent amount of money, but then later on, I think I do turn the stock to flat by just how I manage this trade. So I get long over here, but I basically just get out flat / take some losses on this position over here overall. You know, don't really like the strength of the stock above this area. This area is not really holding too well. The earnings VWAP was holding a little bit, but then eventually does manage to give up. So as you guys can see right there, on the break of that area / break of the level that we have mapped out. Where does that level come from? It's one of the previous levels in the past right over here. So it looked like it was holding that anchor VWAP and that level a little bit, but eventually the stock just traded sideways. Didn't really do anything for us too exciting. I thought the market would be really exciting today, but I think Netflix, basically didn't do too much. It did give you amazing opportunities to get long off the anchored VWAPs for earnings anchored VWAP. Sorry, this is basically everything from 4 o'clock last night going into today, and you can see how the buying just came in right at those dips. So it's kind of crazy over there how sometimes that works out. Not that it has to work out every single time, but sometimes it does work out. But I wasn't willing to go long though, because I'm a paper-handed bitch. So wasn't ready to risk money on Netflix. I stayed away from it, but missed out probably on the best trade of the day, which is just buying these dips or buying any of these dips. We'll talk about Netflix deeper as we get into it, and we'll talk about TSM deeper as we get into it later on the stream. Apple, quick little long as we get above yesterday's VWAP and we hold really well in this 176 area. So noticing that, how the stock moved overall, how the market was moving today, and how Apple was holding off in this area, got long, got a beautiful run up towards 177.50s or so. Didn't take any profits, just set my stop, and I said, this trade's gonna work. I don't care. This trade's gonna work. Just set my stop and forgot about it. Ignored this whole big down move over here. I could have gotten stopped out over here. I could have trailed my stop, right? I could have gotten stopped out over here. I could have got stopped out over here and actually made some money instead of actually being a absolute monkey and just saying, nope, the stock's gonna hold it. I have a crystal ball. I know it's very shiny and I know exactly what it's going to do. And, not being able to make some money over it. You gotta, always participate, not anticipate. And a lot of my mistakes over here start off with me anticipating on this market. Although my entries are beautiful participation entries. Some of these ones, most of these, some of them are anticipation entries, like the blind entries that I have. But some of these entries that I work for, beautiful participation entries, but then my exits and my planning and my management is just all anticipation after that. I'm not really participating at that point. So that's what's hurting me these last few days. Need to stop acting like I have a crystal ball and go back to really just listening to what the market's whispering to us in our ears. Netflix, we did, however, trade it. I did say that I was being scared to take a trade on this one. I did, however, trade it at one point. Just quick little shorts around 400 as the stock does push above 400 but pushes right back down, and the market looked a little bit weak too. So I thought, hey, there could be some good moves over here. Netflix could, really push right below the earnings VWAP and go much lower to the downside. Maybe we see that 390 area coming into play, which was the area that we actually planned to go long off of yesterday, unless the stock opens up higher. This is the 390 area that we're talking about. No, that's not it. This is the 390 area that we're talking about. If the stock was going to open up around here, dip to the 300, or even dip to dip to 390 or so, would give us a possible entry. Never really gives us that entry, so we kind of stay away from it. We could have, gotten it 393 and given it $3 risk for a $7 move, but no, I didn't want to do that apparently, and I missed out on some money over there, sadly. But I did try some quick shorts, didn't work out, both of them losers. That was all she wrote for our trades today, and another loser day, sadly. But we will turn that around tomorrow. All it takes is a little bit of confidence, a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, and execution, right? No emotion. Anything else that I can say that ends with ION? I'm gonna stop there before it gets too cringy. Okay, my stomach's rumbling, chat. I didn't eat dinner. I'm getting hungry. Mom, feed me. Starving. We'll feed ourselves with some vaporizer. All right, let's show you guys the watch list that we have for today. Oh, not that one. Let me turn off that. Okay, there we go. Let me show you guys the watch list that we have for today. American Express. First off, obviously, all the stocks that have earnings this week, and then we're gonna look at some of the after-hour movers, some of the stocks that were the most active. Then we have a list of stocks that we like to always keep on our watch list. Some of them which are active, some of them which are not active. Some of them kind of moved around today or moved around recently, so always worth a watch over there. Why am I so disorganized today? Looking for another stock. I think it was DOUL. No, DOCU, not DOCU. Forget what it was. The Google News affected it, but I think Benzinga can help us out find that trade later on. But this is our watch list for tomorrow, or yeah, for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. And we're gonna start off with some of the stocks that had earnings today after hours, and it's going to be American Express. Let me quickly load up our trusty friend Benzinga. Benzinga comes in always to help us out. Make sure you go check out the links in the description below if you want to sign up for Benzinga yourself. We're gonna quickly head over to what was the stock? American Express. American Express to see. Let me move this to my other screen. American Express to see what type of earnings are coming out. Wait, is this pre-market tomorrow? Oh yeah, nothing really worthy came out with the earnings report after hours, except for WD-40. If people are interested to trade WD-40, Western Alliance did come out with their earnings report. So let's quickly go check out what WAL looks like over here after hours. Looks like we dropped down first, later on popped up. I mean, obviously the stock needs to have a lot of volume for us to be interested. And right now it's only trading 2 to 3 million shares a day compared to what it was doing during the bank crisis or the financial crisis. So if earnings is going to help the stock get back into the higher end of these ranges and actually even give us a trade to trade on the stock tomorrow, I would like a lot more volume, but it is on our back burner watch list. And the WD-40, which is WDFC, usually doesn't do any volume, so I'm not expecting to trade the stock tomorrow. On some earnings days it does bring in about 1 million shares or so, but a $200 stock, 1 million shares for one whole day, that means the spread's going to be insane, and it's going to be pretty scary to trade it. But for those of you who are interested, this is what's happening over here. WD-40, even with the positive earnings report, dropping down drastically, sadly. 187, closing at 192.89 in the after hours, but going as low as 187 in the after hours. Looks like pretty much around these lows coming back into play, and we might just go right back into 184 off the open tomorrow on WDFC for anyone interested. But not on our watch list for tomorrow. Not on our watch list at all. I thought American Express was a stock for us to be interested because it was a stock after hours today, but it's actually a stock pre-market tomorrow. We got a bunch of other random no-name stocks that I've never traded. I think that's Schlumberger, right? SLB, that might be something to actually be interested. Yeah, SLB, Schlumberger. This one does decent amount of volume. Yeah, you know what? I'll put SLB on the watch list over there too, along with AXP, as both of these stocks announce earnings pre-market. And just quickly throw some lines on both of these stocks. Why is that line in that color? I don't like that. Yeah. Quickly throw one down there. Somewhere over here. There's like a little bit of a channel here that the stock was previously in. I don't really know if I want to put that, but it's in the channel right now. I mean, beautiful channels to the upside, just constant buying on the low end of the channel, and the stock just keeps pushing up. Looks like we're at an all-time high. Nope, negative, not at an all-time high, but we are channeling up right back into the 52-week high. Looks like around the $62. Some support around 55 over here. Looks like obvious support. It's also a little bit of a range, right? It's never really true levels. It's a little bit of a range. So if you draw that box, and honestly that box could be dragged down all the way over here, which means this line could be dragged down all the way over here. So nice little range of support showing up in the recent history for SLB, and also a lot of resistance. This area could be considered as supply, so supply opening up right around the 52-week high, but a lot of demand also showing up in the recent history right around the 52-week high. So that could be pretty bullish, as we are getting the earnings move pre-market tomorrow and on positive earnings. I don't see why the stock starts trading trading above 62.12. And if you do go to the monthly chart, I mean, look at that. Looks like right above 62.12, the stock has a lot of room to the north side. $70, $80. If we do find a way to get back above this monthly consolidation high, I mean, look how many months we've been over here. It's basically a whole goddamn year that has been on this side on the low end. Spent a whole year for 2017 2018 on the low end of these prices. So if we do manage to get above these prices for SLB, a lot of people who were previously underwater are finally going to be happy once again. I don't know if that's going to be triggering some sort of profit taking or offloading or whatever it is. Profit taking, I don't know why I'll be profit taking, but maybe some shorts covering will give it some pop. That is possible, right? But some longs taking exits will not be the best thing that you want to watch for. So obviously the best thing we can do, as always, as day traders, is keep an eye out at the most relevant variables, most relevant information, which is where's the buying coming, where's the selling coming, and look for that action right around these areas. If 62 shows you a lot of buying, we break out of 62, we come back and we hold 62 or somewhere close enough to 62 to show you that buying, that could be a solid long solid long going into the north side. But I don't think the stock has that drastic range of an ATR. Let's go look at the SLB ATR over here. Schlumberger oil and gas equipment stocks. Oh, okay. I'll be honest, I don't know. It was an oil stock, but the oil stock over here, $1.46 ATR. So we can't expect it to go to $70 in one day, but this day it had a pretty decent ATR. I mean, what was that move over here? Looks like about a $4 move overall on that stock on that day. Let's go to a specific earnings day to kind of get an example of what the stock can do on earnings day. Looks like about a $2 move on that earnings day. On this earnings day, we got about what is that? About a $1.91 move. So pretty much within the ATR. On this earnings day, it looks like pretty much within the ATR. On this earnings day, a little bit out of the normal ATR. Looks like that had to probably do with a monster beat. Yeah, it looks like a monster beat over there coming in. So if for any reason the stock does come out with a monster beat, maybe we do see a bigger ATR move on this position. But based on the information that we have just seen on SLB, I don't think we see a bigger move than 62. So keep an eye out for that possible rejections coming in around 62, 62.50 maybe, as we burn some stops higher over here and then start pushing back down. But if negative earnings report, I think we drop right into these lows, and a break of these lows could give us a bigger room to the downside. I think obviously since it's an oil stock, you might want to keep an eye out at oil at the same time. So SLB along with AXP, wrong page, AXP, both on watch list tomorrow. American Express coming out with earnings tomorrow, pre-market also, and looks like we have some levels over here that we might be interested in on a possible down move on the earnings report for AXP. I like that too. We'll just put it over here and the one there. So possible negative news could bring it down, but you know, American Express, credit card company, people swipe credit cards left and right. Interest rates are high. Credit card defaults could be coming in, though. You know, there could be a lot of credit card defaults coming in soon. That's something to think about. Look, no crystal ball here. All we can do is just play the information the market gives us, and it will be given to us pre-market. So if we do get a negative move, I think somewhere down 143 and weakness near 143 could give us a bigger move. That would be amazing to be part of on AXP. And on positive news, we do have a lot of areas to kind of break through for the stock. So I think if it does pop up into this 100 period EMA near 160, I want to see how it trades near 160. I think it could easily see a lot of rejection and selling happening right around this 155/160 area if it does pop into it. So keep an eye out for that. But if we do pop above this 155 and hold above 155, that 160 just seems even more inevitable for this position. AXP tomorrow, pre-market earnings report incoming. Now we can start with the rest of the watch list that we have, which is basically stocks that have already announced earnings. pretty much all of this week, and some of them which we'll be interested in. Most of these stocks actually announced earnings yesterday after hour or yesterday pre-market, and some of the bank stocks like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America, Charles Schwab, and J&J also in that watch list, which we'll kind of just skim through. Not really too interested in day 3, day 4 type of plays on the banks over there. I think Netflix, Tesla, STLD, AAL, couple of the other stocks that we have on our watch list could give us better day 2, day 3 type of setup plays. So we'll take a look at those ones for sure. But I do want to talk about something about Morgan Stanley that my manager pointed out that I myself could not recognize when the trade showed up. Okay, so let's start off over here with NFLX, Netflix. Netflix obviously looked pretty dead today. Looks like it just traded sideways, didn't really do too much. I mean, its usual ATR is insane, but today's true range was boring, right? Boring to say the least. But it gave you a lot of opportunities once again right off that earnings anchored VWAP, which we have been using since 2 earning seasons now. So this would be the 3rd earning season, if I remember accurately. I think so. We have seen a lot of this work. It's just we need to stop being babies and actually pull the trigger on these trades. Coming back into the daily chart, however, on Netflix, we're looking at what possibly could happen. I mean, they talked about positive indications. Let's just hide some of these. Okay, they talked about positive news on the stock, which is a subscriber count going up, good earnings report overall. They're thinking about raising prices on Netflix again. The crackdown brought in a lot of new subscribers also. So overall, just positive. That Writers Guild Association strike kind of hurt this stock a little bit, but Netflix doesn't really have to worry too much about that. They have content from all around the world being pumped onto Netflix. India, Japan, Korea, you name it, right? They do non-stop content from every single part of the world. So Netflix doesn't really have to worry too much about the content over there as much as Disney probably does. So I'm not worried about the Writers Guild Association strike currently affecting the stock, and the catalyst over here allowing the stock to really push above this low. I mean, look how we got above that 398/400 area. If we can continue showing support at that 398 to 400, not really get back under 398. I don't want to see us, even trade a single share below, let's say 396, right? 397 to 400. I don't want to see the stock print a single share. Ooh. Let's actually nuke some of our lines. How about that? Nuke them. Nuked. Get out of my face. All those levels are now irrelevant. Okay, so that's a pretty crazy level. So that one we're not gonna wipe out, obviously, but I'm just gonna shift that level a little bit higher, and then we're gonna put one level over there. That way we can draw a box, and now we have that box levels right there for us to be interested in to see what happens. Maybe you can draw that box a little bit higher, Prad. Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. But we're also interested in over here this area low. Sorry, this was the area that I'm interested in. So I want the stock to basically hold in this box. Bang. In that box over there from 395.90, so let's say 396 up to 398. If for any reason we drop down to those areas, I need to see Netflix hold in that area. Not really look for a gap close right all the way back down to 350. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna do a big gap close like that, but I don't want to see that happen. I need to see previous demand areas showing up as demand once again. If this price was good back here before this earnings report and this earnings report, then this price should be even better now at this earnings report after all the better things and new things that have announced, and then they actually came through and followed through from their words from previous earnings reports and so on. So I want to see this price really get held, buyers show up. Let's actually put it in our notes, right? Stock needs to hold the 396 to, do I want to say 398 or 400? I'm gonna say 398. 398. I'm gonna put 400 up there. Area for area, so we can smash the long. That's the right way to put the notes. Let's bring the notes over here also, so you guys can read along with me, and maybe, you know, take notes for yourself too if you're interested in taking the trade. I think SLB, we talked about that 62 area. Yeah, so watching 62 for rejection on earnings, but if stock is above and holds, get long. Don't expect too much from the stock, however, as the ATR isn't more than $1.50 and it doesn't $1.50 needs to be a big surprise for a big move. Okay, so that's SLB. AXP, what did we say? So watching 62.12 on SLB over here on the high side, and then watching 55 to 56 for possible supports also, but if under, could get short. Okay. AXP, what do we say about AXP, chat? I think I'm gonna have to honestly put notes in for AXP tomorrow based on how the stock trades. I don't think AXP does a lot of volume. I mean, yeah, it does a little bit. Volatility on the stock is quite a bit too. It does bring in a little bit of extra ranges on earnings day, so could be some trade over here for us to capitalize on. But I'll be honest, I have to possibly, you know what, I do like this area. This 143.50 area is standing out to me quite a bit. Possible move to 143.50 on negative earnings. Could see some long ops here, but also, yeah, I could see some long ops here. I think I'm mostly thinking about some long opportunities over here. Too close to 52-week low. I don't think they're gonna miss too much. And positive earnings report, I mean, I want to see the stock really hold above 155, 156, but today's high basically matters a lot. Today's high matters for this position. If we don't get above today's high, if stock can't get above, why am I typing like a caveman? If stock can't get above yesterday's high of 156, then get short. Okay, so that's the notes for there. Netflix, we have some notes. Next up on the board, we got Tesla. Tesla, obviously, big drop to the downside. This area matters a lot. I mean, look at that previous supply area. Then we break out of that area. We drop back to that area, find buyers right off that ping, and then launch back into a new trend where the stock holds for quite a bit. But now breaking that trend right before the earnings report, and then moving much lower right back to that area to find some buyers again at that 213, 214, 215 areas. So watch out for what happens on Tesla on a bigger move down. The stock has now triggered SSR, which means it'll be harder for you to short the stock tomorrow. You have to get picked up when the stock trades higher, which will probably not be that hard, right? The stock does 100 million shares every single day, 187 million or 170 million shares today actually. So for you to complain that you didn't get your shares on the short side, it's a little bit ridiculous. So obviously we will get a lot of opportunities to trade the stock on either direction, let it be SSR, whatever it is. But since it is SSR, if there is any big size on the bid that shows up tomorrow, that area is a little bit more important. That area is going to need a lot of selling, and for that lot of selling to come in, it's going to need a lot of buyers to actually pile into that bid and smash that bid, right? People like maybe Kathy Wood, people like maybe big long people or enough retail pressure who wants to offload their longs. Anyone who got long around this $100 area, 150 area, they're worried about the stock going right back into these lower end of these ranges. Apparently on the conference call, Elon doesn't give shits about the stock price, so they're expecting this to be a pretty bad move overall for Tesla to the downside. So if all things considered, if this is going to be bad enough, then this move is not done yet, right? So if you're seeing a big bid show up on the trade tomorrow and the stock is just smashing those bids, that means there's a very clear amount of selling coming in and you want to join that party to the sell side. But if there's a big bid showing up on the level 2 tomorrow on this stock and it's not really able to punch through that level, then it's going to be in monster long for us off that area. So watch out for that trade. Let's actually put exactly that on this trade. Since SSR, look for big levels, maybe around even dollars that can hold. If they don't hold and real selling is showing up, especially into the 214, is that 214? 214 area, then look for a bigger, where did Tesla close today? Tesla closed at 220 today. Look for a bigger move down. I think 214 holds, however. Okay, if for any reason we do go all the way down to 214, I think 214 holds tomorrow. But if 214 doesn't hold, then there's a little bit more room to the downside. Maybe we go test 200 instead, and then 200 has that big size that I'm talking about that actually holds, and it doesn't actually hold any level all the way down to 200. So you might want to be careful for that also. Could just drop down to 200 also, so be careful. Okay. LVS, Las Vegas Sands. Las Vegas Sands earnings move today, but look what happened. Pretty much rejecting that high right there, which we mapped out yesterday. Didn't expect the stock to do too much, right? We did get above one of our trend lines that we have mapped out. Let's go quickly show you that where did that line come from. That line comes from these lows right over here on LVS, right around December 2022 lows, and a little bit of a rejection around that area, a little bit of support around this area too. So today, as we drop down off the positive earnings report, pre-market, sorry, after hours we ran up, pre-market we were higher too, but we opened up shortly shy of that 47.25 area, and then we dropped all the way down to 45.50. If you guys remember on my notes yesterday, we put down, where's LVS? Easy longs on pullback to 45.50 if the stock can get above, and if the stock can get above 47.25 to 47.50 and actually show that there's buying there, then there's a bigger long to $50. So we had the trade planned out. What happened? We didn't do anything with it. We didn't trade it at all, sadly. It does drop all the way down exactly to that 45.50 area. Looks like a little bit of a low near 45.27, but later on, as it does climb back above 45.50, could have gone long right here with the stop somewhere right down over here and trailed my stops up to the north side as the stock does manage to get back up towards the earnings anchored VWAP, and the trades right around that price. A lot of trading happening right around this area. So indecision, looks like buyers are kind of stepping in at these prices, but sellers also tried to bully the stock right back into yesterday's close areas, didn't manage to do that. So there could be some sort of shorts getting trapped in over here, but this is a big stock, right? Big company, lots of shares. For this to have that short squeeze, it needs to have a lot of shorts actually getting piled into it, which I don't think happened. So overall, the stock is just managing to trade sideways over here. Let the stock, when the VWAP that we care about the most is doing nothing but going sideways, then you want to just kind of step away from the trade and let it figure out what it wants to do. If for any reason buying can actually show up tomorrow and we do manage to get above 47.25, which I think the stock very much will based on how we traded today, if we do get above 47.25 tomorrow, then you're looking for that 47 25 break long question mark, maybe wait for it to get above and hold if low RVOL on stock and stay away from break. Okay, I like that. I like what we're doing. See how we're changing, we're evolving. Like, holy smokes, chat. Honestly, if you just took any of these trades that I gave you on my notes, you would have probably absolutely banked it today. Absolutely banked it today. Shout out to me. I got you guys. Okay, October. Let's go to the next stock. Why did I say October? Let's go to the next stock. Alcoa, AA. AA, that previous 52-week low area was very much in play today. We just fumbled the bag on that trade. The 52-week area just getting absolutely rejected on that pullback over here. Later on, with the help of the market really failing, the stock managed to give you a bigger trade. But I think if the market wasn't really failing, we would have probably not seen a single penny under $25 on the stock overall. So I'm going to stick to my call out on that. I'm not going to change my call out on that. I do really think the stock holds right above at 25 and doesn't print a single penny under 25 unless the market did what it did. And I guess I'm glad the market did what it did, because it makes me regret about this little move that I was not able to be part of on AA. Tomorrow, however, what happens for the stock going forward? I mean, this stock is pretty much in no man's lands right now that we have never seen the stock trade in. We're right back into 2021 areas. So, these recent history for the stock is non-existent. We gotta let it figure out what it wants to do. But if for any reason we do get pops right back into that 52-week low, or sorry, previous 52-week low of 25.59, we would be interested to see what happens. Look how yesterday's anchored VWAP is exactly at that 52-week low now. That means whatever the stock traded today and all of yesterday, the average price of that move overall combined is at 25.59, which is exactly at the previous 52-week low. That's kind of mind-blowing to me. I mean, that's crazy, right? So we could look for possible shorts coming right back into this area, and then if it does pop above that area, maybe stay away from it, and then we'll see what happens later on. The earnings VWAP, however, we didn't really put in an earnings VWAP on this position. Maybe we can put one from tomorrow, or from today. Sorry, why did I say from tomorrow? From what happened today. I mean, that would be the earnings VWAP. That would be the earnings VWAP technically. You know what? Screw it. We're just gonna do it. That is the earnings VWAP. So it is what it is. So earnings VWAP is right around over here. Let me rename that. And tomorrow, as we do pop up into, oh, look at that, right? Oh, wait, that's right. Earnings VWAP is today's VWAP. That makes sense because today is earnings day. If the stock does pop up into $25 or so, we'll see if there's any rejections right around the lower end of this range or / earnings VWAP. But if it does want to pop up above 25, go into 25.50, show me rejections about 25.50, then that's where I want to really look for some shorts on this stock. I'm not really going to be bullish on this one at all based on how the stock traded today, but there is another setup that I'll be interested in, and I'll actually point that setup out to you on the next few stocks that will be coming up later on. It's going to be on Morgan Stanley. This is a setup that I failed to recognize today and makes me pretty upset, because this is the setup that I've been parading out about and telling my coworkers to kind of look out for the setup myself. So I missed out that I'm angry that I missed that trade. So if for any reason if stock pops up in fails 25 or 25.50, gets back under today's VWAP, back under fails 25 / yesterday's VWAP, and then gets back under today's VWAP, look for those killer text book play setup, and don't be a bitch when it comes to the profits and the stops. Let the setup do its thing, boy. All right, there we go. We have our notes down. So if it does pop up into this 25, and for any reason it does pop up into 25.50, which is a 52-week low, then if 25 does manage to fail for shorts, could look again near 25.55/25.60, and that'll be the only spot I'll look again. If it does manage to get back above this, then I'm not looking for longs at all, because then that would negate all kind of short thesis on the stock completely. Okay, STLD. Before we go to STLD, I think I need to do myself a favor over here and be a good host and look at the chat, because I see chat's moving quite a bit. Chat's saying, I killed LOY and Tesla today on anticipation plays, Pradley. It puts you ahead of the crowd. I mean, look, you did say what, like 85% win rate, and you told me to short Pan W yesterday. Pan W would have hurt. And then you said another stock, I forget which one it was, that was going to sell off pretty badly. I think it was TSM, maybe something else, and it also popped up. So I think you gave 3 stocks yesterday, or the day before that on Tuesday. 3 or 2 stocks. And maybe you were right on one and you were wrong on 2, or maybe you were wrong on both. So that doesn't sound like 83% for me. I'm not trying to take shots at you. Look, I respect your style of making money. Whatever your style of making money is, everyone has their way to make money. Everyone has their own systems. Some people like RSI. Some people like to, put labels on their food's dog bowls and tell their dog to eat out of that label, or pick a bowl, and then whatever bowl that the dog picked, they'll start trading that stock, right? Some people have even more crazy setups where they believe that the stars in the sky and the weather patterns indicate an amazing trade to get into. So everyone has their ways. Whatever way makes you money, whatever way helps you put the food on the table and get mom out of retirement quicker. Shout out to that. I hope it keeps working for you. But as all things in the market, everything fizzles out. And only one thing is true, that nobody has a crystal ball. I do like that you anticipate. I mean, you gotta anticipate. You gotta think about where the buyers could go, where the sellers could go, what could happen if the stock goes this way, if the stock does this, what could happen that way. Anticipation is the first kicker of all things, right? Anticipation will help you plan the trade, but only at participation, which is looking at what's actually taking place and following the information of the market's always whispering to you, the sweet whispers the market gives us. Participating off of those triggers is what helps people stay consistent and stay making money. So at the end of the day, 85% win rate, 10% win rate, whatever you have, if it allows you to make money, shout out to you. That's all I can say on that one. But Pan W today, I mean, that 52-week high area that we've been talking about, that 52-week high range that it's been in, the all-time high range, that it's been stuck in, finally breaking and pushing much lower to the downside. So beautiful swing trade overall, if it was a swing trade for you. Yesterday, it did give you a couple opportunities to short that exact same level again. So clearly, Pan W, this is a monster level. But for a day trader, I mean, I need a lot more relative volume for me to really even put this on the watch list. No relative volume. It does now drop back into these ranges, which kind of makes it even more boring on relative volume side. I don't think relative volume picks up on the stock on the move down over here. It probably kills it even more. So I'm not really interested as a day trade. But for swing trade, yeah, 100%, baby. Shout out to your call over there. Shout out to your trade. Once again, rejecting that 52-week high, the all-time high, and getting back into the previous ranges for Pan W, Pan Dubskis. But moving forward with our trades over here that we have planned for our day tomorrow and happened on the day today also, STLD, Steel Dynamics. I mean, a grand plus stock, right? It doesn't really do anything. We talked about this. Look at the daily, how it's just been stuck in a range for so long, and don't expect the stock to do too much under 99 if it does pull down to that day. Guess what happens? It does pull exactly to that day, right? Here's yesterday's move, and here's the day before that's move. Right around over here is where we were looking for those shorts, and we did get 2 beautiful entries. But let me talk about this right here. So if you know, this is talked about in the Anchor VWAP book that we keep talking about recently. But they talk about, you know, where do you want to anchor points from, and it's very subjective, right? It's very, very subjective because you're picking and choosing where do you want to anchor it from. If you anchor, they talk about over there about anchoring it from the turnaround point on a stock, and that would basically be over here, and it would make sense. But the stock doesn't really turn around, does it? Because it drops back up to the north side. It really turns around on this candle over here and not able to make a new high a day. So if you put in around that candle or even this candle right over here, you will see how the stock, actually, sorry, let's just do it over here. Yeah, the candle where the turnaround happens. I think that's what they talk about. The candle where the turnaround happens. And you can put one more over here too, which we'll do that right now. There are a lot of blue ones actually. So let's make this a different color to kind of stand out for us tomorrow. We'll make it purple. Okay? These intraday ones will make it purple. So from this low and from that high, I want to see what's going on for the stock, for all the average buyers and sellers. What's going to take place if the stock does manage to pull back to those areas. So off of that high, you can see how we pull right back into that area, reject it, and pull back lower. We find a little bit of buying right around this area again, as the seller and the buyer are battling it out. They're battling it out. Eventually the seller dies out, the seller wins, the buyer dies out, and the stock does manage to pull back right back into that solid range that it's been stuck in and close right in the lower end of those ranges. So what am I looking for on this stock tomorrow? I think the most important levels that I'm interested in is somewhere around 100 to 101. I want to see what happens, especially around this higher end of this VWAP comes into play. If 101 comes in, does this stock show me rejections again? Because that is apparently the average price for whatever action took place from that turnaround point on the stock. That high, you know, you can see the stock push up all the way up to 108, not able to show enough buying and selling, actually stuffing the stock right back down on that 5-minute candle, enough to make it trigger that short, and that conference call also triggering a big down move over here. So that's gonna hurt it. They also talk about pinning it off of a big volume candle. So that's a big volume candle. That's almost as big of a volume candle as this one. So let's see what happens if we pin it off of that volume candle. That's showing up right around yesterday's VWAP. So maybe there's something at this 102. I mean, yeah, look at that. 102. But I'm interested to see what happens off of this VWAP and this VWAP for any reason tomorrow if it does come into play. I know my charts look a little bit messy. They start looking like that astrology charts now with all these indicators all over the place. I know what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to focus on. But for those of you who are trying to understand what I'm doing, I want to see selling come right back into the lower end of these ranges. However, I don't think the stock is going to be too big of a trade. There could be a nice drop to $95 and $90 on a swing trade thesis. That there could be a bigger trade over here for a swing trade thesis if the shorts do set up one more time at 100/101. You know, you could look for that swing trade short, tight stop above 101, and have that move possibly down to 95, have that possible move down to $90 on that negative earnings report for STLD. But for day trade, I think you know, usually as stocks do, day one earnings, big volume, day two earnings, very low volume. Day one earnings today, okay volume, we got a 2R volume spike. But that also means on the day two of earnings, we're going to really die out on volume. So I'm not expecting a big candle coming in over here. Maybe that conference call move was a little oversold. So maybe buying actually shows up. So I don't want to fight that buying, nor do I want to go long, right? So I'm just going to stay away if the buying comes in. And if for any reason the stock does bring in extra R vol and start showing me a lot of good R vol and stock is around 100/101, can look for shorts, but don't blind into levels, only trade pattern. But we need volume though. We need volume first. Okay. American Airlines. Boy, if we're going to make notes for all these stocks like this, we're going to be here forever, ladies and gentlemen. So strap in your seat. Let me just yell to my dog, hey, Coco, forget about the walk today, papa. Because we're not going anywhere. No, that's a joke. I'll take him out in a bit. Hopefully we finish this stream in 30 minutes. As I say, look out for AAL, right? AAL has been sold off so drastically that even a negative earnings report possibly doesn't hurt it, because DAL's move and UAL's move has been helping AAL also push to the downside pretty drastically. So not able to take out yesterday's low. We actually popped up quite a bit to the north side, but then sold off later on, sadly, with the help of the market move later on, pushing right back into yesterday's VWAP, that flat line over there. Yesterday's VWAP pushing down into that area and right around where the opening price was too. So the stock basically going right back into open. Where was yesterday's close? We basically closed slightly above yesterday's close, turning the stock slightly positive on the day. 9 cents positive on the day on American Airlines. So it looks like, buying coming in. They are trying to show buying. This is obviously a little bit of a grandpa stock. We want to see a couple more days of buying showing up before we want to see the long setting up for a swing trade long or even for a day trade long. So let it play around in this area. A couple more days of buying. Let it start curling from these lows, and then we can look for those longs every single day as we start taking out some of these levels higher and higher. So let American Airlines just set up for that trade. I think this one we can move it to the lower end of the watch list for ourselves. TSM, ladies and gentlemen, big move on earnings report overall, but not able to really do too much above 93.50, and that kind of burnt me today. So we're gonna have to be a little bit patient to see what happens on TSM. I think this level looks better on the hourly chart. There's that level on the hourly chart. So if for any reason we can actually get above this 93.50 and hold 93.50, we could have a bigger move to the north side tomorrow. But right now, I think because of the overall weakness in the semiconductor sector, I don't know why TSM would be in that weakness. It's basically for Nvidia, that weakness. But if TSM is going to take a hurt from that weakness overall, we are seeing that taking place as the stock cannot manage to hold above today's VWAP or even the earnings VWAP, which is exactly today's VWAP, right? Not able to hold above today's VWAP and just rejecting that move today, sadly. So TSM, I'll be a little bit hesitant. I do like the fact that we closed on the higher end of the ranges. So if there is a big move to the north side tomorrow and tomorrow does not end up being free fall Friday, maybe we do see 93.50 breaking. We get that move to 95, a pullback to 93.50. We find buyers over here, and then we get a bigger move later on in the day above 95 to even more and more and more. So that's something that I would be very interested in, but I will not look to blindly just punch long over here, because the stock has clearly shown us rejections of 95 and then even 94 and so on later on in the day on the earnings day itself. So you want to be pretty careful. Let's just put that in our notes. I want to see 93.50 area break and hold. Ideal setup would be stock pushes to today's high, comes back, holds 93.50 earnings, VWAP curls higher, and stock starts to trade above today's VWAP, helping it take out that 95 area. Get long on that possible consolidation in front of 93.50 if there. If not, stay the fuck away. All right. AT&T, I mean, come on. Am I going to trade AT&T? You guys know I'm not going to trade AT&T. So is it even worth talking for me? I'll chart it for you, right? I'll chart it for you. This level over here, kind of important, right around $15 or so. I'm not going to look for a possible trade on this stock. This stock will die down big time on volume. I mean, today, 97 million shares. Oh, okay. Maybe we should be interested. Maybe we should be interested. Well, we'll chart it. We'll see if we find a good setup. Looks like what's that price point? What is that price? No, stop it. Stop magneting for me. 15. Okay, if 15 holds, then we could get interested, right? We could get a little interested on this position. Obviously, a lot of selling came in right around that 1550, 1570s high once again. But if 15 holds, I mean, this stock got beat down a lot recently. So I don't see why would it go lower. Earnings report was decent. So if 15 holds, I think AT&T could give us a good trade. What was today's VWAP looking like? Today's VWAP right around $15.20, which is also the earnings VWAP, basically. The earnings VWAP right there. Where does that blue line come from? Hello? Want it from there. Okay, so right around $15.20 or so, which is the earnings anchor VWAP. So we're waiting to see if the stock can hold 15, hold above the anchored VWAP from earnings move, and then actually start trading higher and higher above that. So how do we structure this trade? Okay, stock needs to hold 15, get above earnings AVWAP slash yesterday's AVWAP of 1532 and hold for me to be interested on the move to 1573 or higher. Low ATR and grandpa stock, be ready to get trolled by, no, I'm joking. Stock could also just be stuck in the range of 15 to 1550. Okay, based on this notes, we're gonna have to move it down our watch list because it's not gonna be too important for us, but it's gonna be still pretty relevant for us to possibly look at tomorrow. ASML, you guys know I'm not gonna trade it, right? $500 stock, 100% not trading it, but I'll quickly chart it for you. Quickly charting it, and I'll see what the trade possibly looks like. I think we were looking at for the short side today, continuation on the earnings move, but it actually popped up, and then sold off later on. This kind of looks like it's part of the setup, but it's not actually part of the setup from the textbook that we've been reading recently. So why do I call it textbook? It's not a textbook. I'm acting like I'm in school or I'm a kid, like student. You are always a student though. Don't get me wrong. You're always a goddamn student. But it's not really that setup that I'm thinking about. It's completely different. But overall, ASML, yeah, I don't really see anything, ladies and gentlemen. It did pop back above 600, but rejecting that Tuesday's high in pre-market, selling off completely. Tried to hold yesterday's high a little bit, didn't manage to do that, and just selling off more and more, moving right back to the earnings anchored VWAP. So magneting right back to the earnings anchored VWAP is ASML. A lot of selling pressure today, not helping the stock too much, but it did end up being green because yesterday's close 583.25, today's close 587.73, so barely ending green on the day. So shout out to them. But I think tomorrow we see a bigger move down. We will, however, delete this one from our watch list. I will not be trading it. You guys know that. Way too expensive of a stock for myself. Okay, PG, Procter & Gamble. What did you do? Yesterday's earnings move, you kind of, were holding it really well off the open, but then you gave up the earnings anchor VWAP, which was pretty questionable for me. I was wondering why, and then I just stopped looking at you. So this is yesterday's low, well, kind of yesterday's low. Notice how that lows basically got respected later on in the day over here as the highs for this stock. So you could have gotten short right over here. If you were interested on that short, you could have gone short over here. You could have gone short right at the failure to hold the earnings anchored VWAP right around over here, risked the high a day, and had a big move to the downside, and then thought about getting back into the trade later on multiple times if you were really loving the short and not caring about what the oh, this is probably why they moved down today, because they had a dividend. That's probably why they moved down today. They had a pretty decent dividend and they didn't manage to hold the earnings VWAP. So two reasons over there for the stock to push down. Overall, we are still above the earnings day range in my opinion. I mean, in earnings day range, earnings day low over here, and we're closing right at the earnings day low. So shout out to PG. I think if for any reason buyers do show up and we do reclaim the earnings day VWAP, there could be a bigger move to the north side. But if the stock is rejecting earnings anchor VWAP on day one and rejecting on day two, it could possibly do that on day three also. So be a little bit careful for that possibility going into tomorrow. For a day trade level, I think yeah, I mean, that area needs to hold. Today's low needs to hold for me. It's this area right here that today's low needs to hold. So okay, so what is that low again? 147. Yeah, 147. 147, and then if say 147, let's say it holds 147, if for any reason we drop down, then what does the stock really have in it? I mean, it could maybe go to 148, possibly go up to 149 and then reject 149. I think earnings anchor VWAP probably comes right down over here towards 149 ish or so. It is right now at 149.20, so it's not that far away from 148.80, 84. So basically this whole area could possibly reject. So only reason I will be looking for a long is because the earnings report was good, but so far what the trade is looking like, it's looking like it just wants to fail. It looks like it wants to fail every single day, just keep going down, right? So be a little bit careful. If you want to think about long, just wait till that 147.20 to show any sort of buying action to come in. And if we do manage to hold above 149, I think there could be some beautiful longs back into 150 for this stock. If stock can get above 149 and hold, could see some longs back to 151 area, but that's probably a swing trade and not a day trade. Okay, Morgan Stanley. Now we get to talk about another trade where we fucked up today, and you know, this one was textbook setup, literally textbook setup, right? The stock gaps up or at least opens up exactly around yesterday's close. Yesterday's close 24.88, sorry, 74.88. What is today's open? 74.87, right? Opens up exactly around yesterday's close. We talked about in our notes yesterday on the stock, if for any reason the stock is holding 74.50 to 75, you can look for those longs and enjoy the move to the north side. I stay away from Morgan Stanley because I'm more interested in Netflix and Tesla today. So I don't actually get that long on this position. Later on, since I FOMO on this trade a little bit, not able to catch the long that I was intending to catch, I tried the long later on in the earnings VWAP area / the 74.50 area, and I lose. Whatever, right? But here's the thing that really upsets me is, how did I miss this big trade? If you're watching Morgan Stanley and if you read that book, it talks about this beautiful setup where the stock opens exactly around these closes, holds today's VWAP, goes higher and higher and higher right into yesterday's VWAP or so, right? Goes right into yesterday's VWAP. Then if the stock holds yesterday's VWAP, that could be an area to get long, and you can get a monster move to the north side on this position for really tight risk to reward, right? You could get long somewhere right over here in these areas, and a nice big move to the north side with your risk to the downside over here. Tight risk, beautiful reward. However, the stock doesn't actually manage to hold today's yesterday's VWAP or today's VWAP, and starts breaking back down. Lower lows, lower highs. You start seeing that pattern play out. This is the 1 minute chart. If we go to the 5 minute chart, it's a lot cleaner to look at. So let's go to the 5 minute chart over here. That's not today. Let's go to the 5 minute chart today, please. So if you go to the 5-minute chart, a lot cleaner to look at, right? First 5 minutes of the open, second 5 minutes of the open, the third 5 minutes of the open, clear big red candle on the stock, and the fourth 5 minutes of the open over here at 9:45, you can see the stock struggling to really trade above yesterday's VWAP, getting under yesterday's VWAP, trading under today's VWAP, closing under today's VWAP. And this is where that book talks about, you know, you look for your short entry. So this is where you think about getting short with your stop somewhere at the high of these candles. And if once the trade starts working for you, you get to trail that stock down for you, right? So the stock moves lower. Let's say the stock is on this candle. Your stop is over here now. Let's say the stock is on this candle. Your stop, if it's on this candle, 1, 2, the stop is over here now, 75.24. Let's say the stock is on this candle. Your stop is on this, so I guess you would have gotten stopped out on this candle move to the north side. So on that break of that candle over there, yeah, on break of this candle over here is where you, on this candle at 1050 is where you would have got stopped out, and you would have basically been short at 9:45. So about an hour in that short, just trailing your stops to the downside. Your initial risk was about 50 cents to $1, about 50 cents or so risk. Let's say 70 cents with slippage maybe, right? 50 cents of risk for $1.70 of reward. So almost a 2:1 trade over there. So monster move. And if you manage that trade properly, I mean, not only did you get a 2:1, you got I'm not saying that you got a move, you will get a move all the way down there, but you could have gotten a $3 move for a risk of just 50 cents in the day at some point, right? If you were managing your trade properly and executing it, looking for the right reasons to add back into that trade, get back into it, or so on, and kind of, you know, work that trade for you. Missed out this trade, big miss out. Gonna have to watch out for this possible repetition of this setup tomorrow. If for any reason it does pop back up and show us some trade, we can look for it. But right now, something that's pretty obvious is the flatlining of the anchor VWAPs that we have. This is when the stock kind of gets in the nothing to do ranges, where you just let the stock do what it wants to do and stay away from it. If you also zoom out for the stock on an hourly chart, let's go to the regular time frame where we don't see extended hours. If you go to the extended time frame, ooh, maybe not. I thought I was going to say that the stock might not have a little bit more room down, but it looks like it does actually have a little bit more room down. Today we closed around $72.91, and this area is $72. So it looks like the stock could have another dollar's worth of move to the downside for us to go test supports around these lows, which is around July 2022 lows. So watch out for that on Morgan Stanley. I think after testing that 72, we could possibly look for buyers. So let's put that on our notes. I think that's actually a good level to look out for. I mean, didn't I put that in my notes too, and I still fought the damn longs? But that's because I thought, you know, the longs were actually showing up. We held that 75 area quite a bit off the open today, did we not? Right? Where's today's move? Here. Yeah, 75 held, ran up, and then obviously when I tried the long, they weren't holding it. Whatever, Morgan Stanley. Okay, so anyways, looking for the move to 72 and hold for possible longs. Don't make the mistake, however, of not seeing the setups from the textbook. I'm just gonna call it textbook at this point. Fuck it. From the textbook, if they show up. Okay, the next few stocks kind of belong in the same basket for me, in my opinion, as American Airlines and AT&T. Not going to be too interested to really trade Goldman Sachs or Charles Schwab or whatever. Most of these stocks, oh my lord, actually might have to kind of retract that statement. This one's breaking 52-week lows too. Actually breaking a pretty decent price, 300. Oh, come on. I don't want to trade Goldman Sachs, bro. These stocks don't do anything. Look at what Goldman Sachs did all day. Easy traps. This is what happens. Just get trapped. But finally breaking that level is what's important. So pretty important level. Notice how we hold that level. We hold that level. Finally breaking that level was pretty damn important. So that's around 302 to what's that low right there? 301.50 on Goldman Sachs. So I mean, that's a pretty serious level right there. Okay, let's put it in our notes. Did I say 302? What did I say again, chat? 302 to, yeah, 301.50, whatever that low was. Okay. Earnings reports were good for the banks, though. Why did banks get smoked today? Let's go take a look at XLF real quick. I mean, banks got absolutely slaughtered. Look at that big move to the downside on XLF. What is the 1.13% overall move on XLF down? I mean, yikes. Big slap to the face on XLF. And most of these stocks would actually came out with good earnings report are getting sold off quite a bit. Here's Charles Schwab on the daily doing a little bit better, holding off in good ranges, but obviously the earnings day range, a big candle, so the stock is currently trying to find support at the higher end of these ranges. Charles Schwab doing a little bit better than its peers or its partners in crime. Looks like no trade over here on Charles Schwab unless it drops down to maybe 50. To look for longs, could see longs at 50, but staying away until then. J&J, is that the next bank? Oh no, Bank of America is the next bank. Bank of America having a beautiful pop up after the earnings report. We saw the 27 area hold quite a bit, but what's the stock doing now? Is it moving back down to 27? Right back down to 27. We actually held quite beautifully today the earnings anchor VWAP, so kind of the day 2, day 3 play, whatever it is. This is day 1 of earnings, day 2 of earnings. Today was a day 3 play. We held that earnings VWAP pretty well. I mean, we traded sideways, and notice how we said anytime an anchor VWAP goes flatline and the stock just teeters around it, this is where you don't want to get chopped up. This is where people who trade and look for those bigger moves get beat up. You want to look for kind of a more moving average kind of anchor VWAP where it's a slope up or a slope down. That's the only time you want to be worried about or interested in that trade. If it's a flat line like this right now, it looks boring, it looks dead. However, as we are pulling back into this important key $27 area that we have previously mapped out right around these lows, we could possibly see a trade. But I think honestly we have better banks to be trading at the moment if we are interested in a bank trade, and I don't think Bank of America is one of them. J&J, good earnings report, but sold off. Big sell off after that earnings report, sadly. Right back into the low end of these ranges where we are actually seeing a little bit of buying coming in. So new 52-week low, previous 52-week low. If we were to, are you kidding me? Is that the exact same price? Okay, so previous 52-week low, showing some buying coming in today right off that area, and we could kind of move this box a little bit better because that box looks a little stupid, honestly. There we go. We'll put that box there. We'll put that line there. We'll move that line a little bit lower, and now we like that better. From 150 to 151. Muito bueno. Looks much cleaner, looks much better. We'll look for supports right back into that lows. Good earnings report, right? Good earnings report. So we can look for possible buyers right again. Look for buying into 150 up to 151. Be ready to give large risk if you want the long, but if sellers are there, please stay away from it, as the stock clearly wanted to go down on earnings report. Market might just not like what it had to say. Okay. I'm gonna remove nah. Does that make sense? Let the stock curl and settle here for at these prices for a few more days and curl before thinking for the longs. So please stay away, but monitor for now. However, if big RVOL and tons of volume present, get long. Okay, some after hour movers today. XRTX, some low floats again, ladies and gentlemen. We got another low float on the basket over here. Today we had, let's actually start off with what the hell is happening? Oh yeah, that's right, we got to go to the minute chart. Let's actually start off with a different one. We're gonna start off with ICU, something that we talked about yesterday. We kind of charted it, we planned out ICU for us. We talked about how the stock needs to hold $1. Why do we not listen to ourselves sometimes, right? We however ignore our trade plan, right? We have it in our notes right here. Where is it? ICU, if stock can stay above 1, get long. Pretty simple in our notes. We just don't listen to ourselves sometimes. It's so annoying when I do that. However, you know, as the stock got above this this news catalyst VWAP, why did I anchor it from there and not from here? I don't know. Sometimes I just do things. I guess because that was the big volume candle. That doesn't make any sense though, Prad. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, Prad. I'm gonna remove that one. Doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, maybe here. Yeah, maybe there. Maybe here. Doesn't make any sense. There's no freaking volume over here at all. And what's the change in the characteristics? I guess like that's kind of the change in the characteristic. Would this be considered the change in the characteristic over here? Or would this? Because the stock kind of knew that it was doing this. I think this is where I need to do it from. We found the spot. We found the magic spot. Maybe not. Maybe not, chat, because that looked like that was a magic spot, right? The stock did something crazy over here, and that's where all the craziness started happening. But it never really pulled back to 91 cents to show you support at that anchored VWAP. At this point, I think based on the amount of volume traded today, this VWAP probably gets magneted up into $1. And the stock, based on how much volume it traded today, let's actually go see how much volume it traded on the day today. Was it a big RVOL spike? Yeah, almost 100 million shares back-to-back days over here, right? So a lot of volume trading, and the fact that the stock actually didn't break out drastically to the north side and also didn't really do that after hours, we could see a lot of shorts trapped here. So if the stock doesn't gap up tomorrow pre-market to burn those shorts, then the game is probably done. The stock probably goes back under $1 tomorrow. But if the stock gaps up tomorrow and then those shorts over here, they're worried about their positions, that's where the game gets fun for us. That's where we want to look for those beautiful monster escape longs and halters and so on. So you know, the stock really needs to do that for us. One of our co-traders on the floor today told us to look at PRZO in case we wanted to kind of study the trade for ICU. So if you want to go look at PRZO over here, kind of understand the patterns, and if we do see this setting up tomorrow for us, then we can kind of trade it, right? So this is the day before where it trades above $1. Look at that, right? Pretty much the same setup. However, the day before, that stock did nothing. The stock actually picked up in pre-market, unlike that stock where the ICU, which was the day before pre-market, is where the things picked up. The day it did a little bit, the next day it did a little bit more and got above $1. That's where it showed up on our radar. So PRZO, kind of the same pattern, but this one we can kind of study and learn from it. So let's learn from it. So this is what ICU did today, right? Didn't really do too much. Didn't really do too much. But day two, or that day's after hours, it popped up a little bit. ICU did this too, a little bit popped up, but didn't really pop too much. But here's where it kicks in, right? Where the day 2 traders kick in and the institutional traders kick in. Maybe the market maker needs to run up the stock a little bit so he can burn the shorts and then sell off into them later on. So here's what we're looking for. We want to see ICU do something like this. Go higher in pre-market. Maybe we don't get to play the $1. Fine, we don't get to play the $1, but move higher in pre-market tomorrow and start trading somewhere in the higher end of these ranges, at which point we can look for those halters and all that fun games that these type of stocks do. So those halts right there, halting from what, 275 all the way up to 313. So beautiful moves over there if anyone's interested. If ICU doesn't do this tomorrow, it kind of negates the whole thesis and the whole play. So you want to be careful for that. Need to see the stock higher in PM and do decent amount of volume also to be interested. Can't be hanging near one in my opinion, but if it does and holds, could still maybe look for longs, but the longer it's at one, probably the worse for the long. Okay. XRTX, kind of the same thesis over here. 34-cent stock over here, but coming up with a decent amount of volume in the after hours, pushing it up to 90 cents or so. So maybe this one does what ICU did tomorrow. It just trades above $1 and holds above $1. We can, you know, get a decent 40-cent, 30-cent move for risking 2-3 pennies on that trade. That's great R2R, but that will only happen if you wait at that dollar area, not be a monkey like me and trade that $1.25 breakout and lose 15 cents on that for no reason, right? So you got to be very calculated, very careful. Make a plan, trade the plan. We had a plan yesterday, we didn't trade the plan today. Hopefully we do trade the plan, and we have a lot of plans for tomorrow. I could technically just stop streaming right now and just go walk my dog and play some video games, but we're not done talking about why are we not done talking. Why do I have so many stocks here, and why am I going so in depth on every single trade today for you guys? Look at ICU from yesterday. Stock could do this, so unless it's at one and holds, just stay away. Okay. NU, LBRT, VWM. Oh my goodness, we're not going to be done streaming till 10 o'clock today. Well, I don't care. No walk for my dog. Let's see what chat's talking about. We read the Pan W comment. Down with WD-40 tomorrow. Down with WD-40. Why, brother? You don't like the oil stuff? Come on, man. Oil, WD-40. Up with oil, UNG. Okay, you do like oil, but you don't like WD-40, I guess. Good job, Pratt. Always, as always, you killing it, brother. I appreciate the love, man. I'm just glad that the Netflix is up. I haven't been in a bear trap for the longest. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm glad that you were able to get out of that bear trap, I guess. Markets are selling off because Powell spoke. Yeah, I mean, that happened. I believe the new levered inverse products limit impacts on SSR names and VIX, frankly, 2 brand new ones today on Tesla. Ooh, levered inverse ETF products. Like TSLL? New levered inverse products. Like what? I don't know which ones. I'll need to learn more about that one. Shout out to you for real. Prasradama going long Tesla tomorrow, then short again when it turns around. I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But there's some trades that I'm interested in for Tesla for sure. Looking for that longs around 214/200 for that possible move back up. And then obviously looking for those shorts once again, baby. Looking for those shorts as always. As you guys know, they call me Don Prad Shorts Leone. Shorts Leone. Are you you going to buy AA tomorrow? Question mark. I mean, it depends. I don't really see myself buying it. I'm looking for the shorts into the levels over here. Looking for possible shorts into the stock, but yeah, I'm not really looking for longs. Short AEL, then long tomorrow on reversal. I like it. You're just getting ready for all the moves, baby. I love it. Yo, Pratt, something interesting with GM 52-week low. Maybe. I mean, until that strike's over, I'm not trading GM or Ford. Unless the earnings report's coming out, I'm not trading GM or Ford. But it is at a 52-week low. I do have it on my scanners. It did pop up, but I'm not trading them. They're also low volatility positions, right? Like, what's that range of that day? 50 cents? Maybe $1? Low volatility positions, low volatility stocks, grandpa stocks. Don't really get me too excited from trading these, you know. So I'm just gonna probably stay away from GM. But I like the fact that you're scanning them. 52-week low. I like it. Good job on the scanning. Just not worth it for a day trade in my opinion. Not TSM. All I said, hit only Netflix, missed badly. Lulu, Eli Lilly, UNG, and Tesla were the calls. Give me your IG4 screenshots. Bro, you're good. I'm just playing with you, Tobias. We're good. But my social media is in the description below. All social media links in the description below. The market is always talking to us even when the market is closed. You know it, baby. If people de-risk tomorrow on fear into holding over the weekend, it could get ugly. I mean, the VIX is at 20, right? So this is fear levels. 21. Can you do something for me? So obviously if 21 can do something for us, market is most likely expected to enter that fear zone and really sell off a little bit, or at least volatility increases, giving you bigger ranges for trading and more money to be made, and also sadly more money to be lost, hence bigger ranges, right? So be careful tomorrow as 21 volatility, VIX ETF at 21, papi. Gotta love it. 8 Chipotle short from the top. Wick lit grab was a banger trade for me this afternoon. Tobias killing it. I love it. T for widows and orphans. AT&T's for widows and orphans. Damn, bro. JB pretty sure is to be uglier, not ugly began Monday. JB? Is that a stock or JD? I'm guessing you mean JD. Guessing you mean JD? JB pretty sure. Oh, jobs report? Is that what it is? JB? What's JB? I'm interested. I don't know what JB is. I'm sorry. Hopefully big tech holds up. Good question. I guess not. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Yeah, hopefully. I guess tomorrow might be a free fall Friday. Honestly, I think tomorrow could very easily just be a free fall Friday. So I'll be a little careful looking for those longs tomorrow on the market. Pratt stock market didn't like Fed speakers today. I'm really stunned at the moves. Yeah, I mean, Powell at one point said that the market is not tight enough and then more tightening needs to happen. But then at one point he said that the levels are holding well or something along those lines. So I mean, he's all over the place. What about MTCH? Not a day trade, my friend. There was no news on it at all. How much did the QQQ was down today? QQQ went down about 1%. Yes, 0.94% to the exact. Pratt, same. And you know I do trade Ford till this strike resolves. And you know I do trade for it. Till the strike resolves, and we can look at the impact on potential profits. Who knows if we'll hold 11. Yes, I know you love your Ford, your Pfizer, and so on. Yeah, if you agree with that statement that we just need to stay away until this news fizzles out or actually resolves into one direction or the other, the best thing to do is stay away, because you don't want to get caught offside on the wrong side of the trade when the news actually comes out and you just get absolutely destroyed on it, right? So you want to be careful, absolutely careful. JB is Josh Belzinger. Ah, okay. JB's pretty sure it'll be uglier, not ugly began Monday. Got it. Now I understand it all. I mean, look, the market clearly selling off pretty drastically going into the last 2 days. So Free Fall Friday. Can I finally please get one? A big Free Fall Friday, please. And not one that sells off in pre-market and reverses all day later on. I don't want to see that. Real quick though, is that the Monday low? No, that's the Monday low. So this is the news. Right. This is the day where the war news basically hits the market for QQQs, and we are now below that low. So that kind of means something to me. We're also below the anchored VWAP from the month to date. So the month to date anchored VWAP on the QQQ right around 363, on the S&P 500 right around $430. So right below both of these prices for both these big markets is also indicating possible bigger move to the downside for me. So I'm really excited for tomorrow. I'm looking for that Free Fall Friday. I'm sorry, bulls, as the TH in the chat putting bulls coffins, bulls coffin, bull coffin. Yes, I am sorry, bulls. I am singing that parade to the downside tomorrow, and I will be very excited if it does sell off, because I'm looking to short the shit out of this market tomorrow, baby. Let's enjoy that ride. But let's not have that big bias, okay? Quickly, I'm going to run through some of these stocks over here, because we are almost at 2 hours and we're not done talking about a bigger watch list of stocks. So let's stop wasting time. Let's quickly run through it. NU, is there a trade on NU? There could be, as we are popping right back into these levels on the stock. So what is that other level that we have on this position? That comes from that area. So you know what? I'm actually interested all the way from that area into this area, what the stock could possibly do. 829 to 850. So 830 to 850. 8 possible selling into 830 to 850. Could see some downside action from these areas. Stay away. However, if Papa Buffy wants the long and smashes the level for more, smashes the level. Yeah, basically stay away if buyers. LBRT, what is this stock? Do you do enough volume for me to even care? You apparently do enough volume, and today you brought in a little bit more volume than you do usually. You have a little bit more volume recently on this candle, apparently. A lot of volume over here recently. So this stock is obviously taken off to the north side, popping up in the scanners. Here's the full chart. We are getting right back into it looks like into IPO ranges over here. It looks like the IPO month low, and here's the IPO day itself for this stock, and the fact that we're getting back into that range could be a little bit interesting. So let's actually also put in an anchor VWAP from that day itself, an earnings anchor VWAP, and then we have, that's kind of not, doesn't really matter right now. that anchor view up doesn't matter at all right now, but it does matter for like the swing traders and the longer time frame traders, because you like to see if you are long in this position, it is popping right back into those prices, and it's showing you that there's buying coming in right around the IPO anchor view up at the moment. It's pretty surprising to see anytime a stock that IPOs and comes right back to that price, especially in this market environment. That's pretty rare to happen unless your name is ARM. So if for any reason the stock pops right back into these areas and shows us rejections again, we could look for those shorts. And if the stock doesn't show rejections in these areas, that could mean new price range discovery for this position, as we have popped right back into that $20 area today, $21 area today. So LBRT, possibly something to not ignore tomorrow, right? Not something to ignore at all. And if buyers do show up, mama, I think we got some insane levels to the north side to go price discovery again. So let's just quickly put down in the notes. I might even have to move this one to a different area in my watch list, just so I can kind of be ready to smash this trade once it does show up. So LBRT, look for stock to get above 21 and hold for a bigger move up to the all-time high of 21, which is IPO day low, and hold. And IPO day high is 22, and hold for a bigger move up all the way to the all-time high of 23, but be ready for selling possible into 22 to 23, as 22 is the IPO day high. Okay, VMW, what did you do today? I know you sold off the day before, but did you sell off more today? Or actually, you dropped down a couple days ago. You had an inside day yesterday, and you sold off extra to the downside today. So monster sell-off coming in. It looks like it sold off right at the higher end of these ranges. We popped back into the higher end of these ranges, and that's where the selling really kicked in on this position. Gap down today, and no buyers coming in anywhere in these ranges of 153 or so. Looks like we went basically all the way back down to 145 and then bouncing off of 145, getting back above 150. But I think the stock has even bigger room to the downside tomorrow. That's quite a bit of a weakness on this position. Not sure if it was earnings, but there was some sort of a catalyst. I forget what catalyst it had, but it is obviously overbearing for this point. That is the VWAP pinch. Also another setup coming from that book. Yesterday's anchor VWAP, today's anchor VWAP coming in, the stock getting pinched between that area and then finally breaking down to one side or the other, and that side ended up being to the downside. South side ended up being that direction. So if we do see rejections coming back into this 153, let's say 153.50 to 155, if rejections do show up into 153.50 to 155, that's something you want to be 100% involved in most likely. But I think the stock probably just opens up near 150 and goes below 150 tomorrow. That's just my best guess over there. Let's actually take a look at how it did after hours. Right at 150, so I'm guessing we might even just open below 150 and just go down to 145 and test that 145 buyer one more time. So be careful for that move over there. I'm just gonna leave it on the back burner of my watch list without any notes, because I'm not too confident on any of these levels over here actually being held. So I don't want to look for those longs, but I will flip back and forth on this position every now and then, especially if it continues to do the relative volume that it has been doing for the last 3 days. I do think tomorrow's relative volume drops down quite a bit on this stock. That's something that's very acceptable as we are moving into old prices over here. But if relative volume continues and more weakness comes in and the stock really wants like these lower end ranges of 135/130, maybe you want to join that party at that point. Rivian 20 clearly not in play anymore. We've given up that ghost on $20, failing to stay above 20 for too long, and once a stock level keeps getting tested again and again, eventually it's got to do one thing: hold or give. And this one held that 23 area, failing to do anything. Later on, failing to do the same thing at that $20 area, and then pushing right back down. So that consolidation failure from 19 to 20 and not managing to get back above 20 was enough of an indication that it was not going to hold that 1750. So going straight back to the downside. Now we're looking for that swing trade move, probably around $15 on Rivian. That news catalyst was pretty damn bearish, right? They're diluting their position, but obviously diluting it somewhere way down the road. So I don't think it's that bearish, but it's still bearish no matter what. And hence Rivian over here continuing the sell off. And I think Tesla kind of broke the EV market today. XPEV also recently had some negative catalysts that kind of broke the EV market. NIO has been breaking the EV market ever since. So all of these stocks going lower and lower. So keep an eye out for those EV baskets for possible trades. Don't ignore RIVN, XPEV, and NIO. Let's just move all three of them to the upside over there. Next stock up on board, Shopify. Getting boring once again as it moves right back into these ranges. So I'm not interested until Shopify does something at $50 for myself. Either go do something at 50, show me support at 50, or just die off on the break of 50. That's the only point I'm interested. If not too interested on SHOP. Look for buyers at 50 or sellers. Otherwise, stay away for now. Because I don't think the stock really goes back into the higher end of these ranges of 55 to 56 anytime soon. Tomorrow at the very least. SWN, I think we can kind of remove it from the watch list. That 740 area clearly showing up as a wall, and the stock just continues to trade lower and lower from it. But the only reason I'm saying we can maybe remove it from the watch list is because it I don't think it goes there tomorrow. I really don't think the stock goes to 740 tomorrow based on how we traded today. A one bounce to 740 and then rejecting it right back to the downside. It did give you an opportunity to short that level, get a beautiful risk to reward. You get short 740, you risk that 3-cent high a day move, and your reward is basically all the way down to $7.16. A beautiful risk to reward. How much would that have been in pennies? 19-cent reward for a 3-cent risk. Mashallah, right? Gotta love those type of trades. So if the stock does go back to 740, we will look for that trade. But if it doesn't, kind of stay away from it. DKNG dropping right back down to lower sides once again. So DraftKings, that 27.50 area, which I think is actually my average price on this position, surprisingly enough. So that 27.50 up to $27, pretty important on DraftKings. If it keeps showing us support, we can get long. But if tomorrow ends up being Free Fall Friday and DraftKings wants to go under 27.50, then we can look for that possible shorts. If market strong and so is stock at 27.50, could get long, but don't expect a big move unless there is a catalyst / R wall for the stock. Okay, enter Roblox. Ooh, yeah, this is the one where we get to talk about a little bit more as to how we identified a trade for ourselves to possibly look for in the near future. So as I was telling people about, my Roblox trade on the day, I was also wondering how I could possibly catch this move dips. How do I know the stock is going to find buyers at this area? I mean, yeah, okay, the Tuesday's high, Prad, obviously, duh. If you had the high and close of every single day, it would make sense, Prad. Is that obvious? Yeah, sure. You can use that. That works sometimes. It doesn't work sometimes, right? But what's more important is studying, really getting crazy about it and looking deeper into every single candle and the volume taking place off of this dislocation on the stock, right? The stock had a higher low, higher high all the way up here until here. This is where you're technically thinking about going short on this position, as we now have a lower high and a lower low, right? Technically a lower low, even though it was basically a flat lower low. This is where you're kind of technically thinking about going short on this position. We also reject yesterday's high, right? We reject yesterday's high. Why am I cracking on my voice like I'm losing my puberty just now or something? So we also reject yesterday's high. So you possibly thinking about getting short over here on this trade. You honestly are. But this happens on that trade. And at that moment, when you see this happen, now you want to really understand who's in control, how are they in control, and where are they back in control if they want to be in control again. So what I do is I put the anchor VWAP right at that move of that candle. And once we do that, we see a little bit of a move being plotted out for the chart itself. RBLX now shows us a possible dip buy of this area, because whoever started trading longs off of this spot, their average price would be right around over here. And if it's a programmed buying, which moves like these usually are, moves like these are programmed buying. Buy X amount of shares from this time to this time, and don't pay more than this much amount of money on the position from the anchored VWAP or whatever, right? So based on that calculator, it bought up the most amount of position it wanted to, and then it waited for a sell-off, and then it bought more. That's why it does this type of action. So when you see buying come in around these candles, you kind of wait for confirmation. The first candle closes green. The second candle looks like it's green. Once this candle breaks out of this candle, you can look for that entry with the risk at the low of these candles, and then you just trail your stops to the downside, at which point you will probably get stopped out right over here. But looks like the stock basically rejected at one of the levels that we were already looking for, which is that 60-minute time period high, recent high of the Thursday last week high, around that 31.95. right? And what we did instead, however, is since we are the contrarian, we're looking for always the reversal type of trades. On the reversal back under 32, the failure to have followed through above 32 is where I got short, and I was able to ride the stock right back into, once again, that anchored VWAP. When the stock showed failure to really get back under this anchored VWAP, I figured, hey, the stock could easily bounce right back to 32 and go up to 32.50. Let me just take my profits and walk away from it. And that's what I did. Took my profits, walked away from it, and I enjoyed that money that I made on that day, which was today. So Roblox, I mean, we are now evolving a little bit. We're not just using the simple month to date, year to date anchor VWAPs. We're now evolving and you know, looking for intraday moves that kind of do craziness, and then using those moves to maybe find re-entry positions or positions to kind of join that party, but later on in the day. So here's an example on Roblox, and here's again a different example on a stock that we traded today, STLD, right? So if you put in that anchored VWAP right there, that intraday anchored VWAP right around there, you see it gives you a couple areas to get back in on the short side. So those are the things that I'm loving to see play out. Roblox, tomorrow we'll be looking for that 32 area once again to come back into play. I'm just going to quickly change this color to purple and see if any buying comes in at 31.50. Maybe we do get that breakout of 32, and then we get that move on the daily chart over here right back into that gap high of 32.50, right? So watch out for that gap high move up to 32.50 coming into play. If Roblox wants to go up above 32.50, stay the hell away from that, because it could easily go higher. But I don't really believe in that move. I think Roblox rejects this area and pulls back. So keep looking for shorts. Keep looking for shorts into 32.50 for the stock, unless catalyst or big R wall. Or let's catalyst. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, you know what? No, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say keep looking for shorts in 32.50. Carvana, we don't really trade Carvana as much as we probably should, and I mean, there's some room to the downside right now on Carvana. Looks like there's big room to the downside on Carvana. If we do get under today's low or even yesterday's low, both of them are right around the same price, 31.50, 31.60. So yesterday's low 32.40, today's low 31.30. Oh, sorry, close. Yesterday's close 32.40, today's close 31.40. So basically around these areas, I don't want to see the stock get above this area. I need to see the rejection of this area continue for that bigger move to the downside to play out in my mind. But right now, the volatility is really walking away from the stock. I mean, the R vol is going down lower and lower. The stock's not really doing too much volume. So maybe it doesn't really go too much to the downside. But if the stock picks up in volume and starts breaking back under today's low, if we start seeing weakness under 31.50, if weakness under 31.50 with R-vol in stock, could see a move down to 30 and lower. Costco, we don't really trade it, and the CEO catalyst, I mean, could have given your trade, but I mean, I don't see the trade. I'll be honest. This range is way too noisy. Too noisy of a trade. You want to be waiting for the higher end of the ranges or the lower end of the ranges, and this range is way too noisy for me to care. Baba did gap down one more time, so Baba going lower and lower. This area that we were so adamant on waiting to trade yesterday, obviously the stock doesn't really manage to give you that trade. It gaps down and never really pulls back to that price. So that was a little upsetting for me to see Baba do. It does gap down, but it just does what it usually does every single day, which is just trade sideways, be boring. Obviously, these Chinese stocks, apparently the new, maybe not new, maybe this is the story for these Chinese stocks always that I just haven't seen. Unless there's a catalyst in these positions, they just gap up or gap down based on how they moved in the Asian market, and then just do nothing for the rest of the day. So unless there's an actual catalyst on these positions, maybe just stay away from them. But they continue to be gapping down and keep losing on their stock price for both of those stocks over there, or the FXI Chinese large cap ETF in general. Affirm rejecting that 20 again, but right now, like I said, Affirm's making that wedge a little bit. Until Affirm really breaks out of that wedge, I'm not too interested to take a trade, but it will always be on our watch list. Knee, I think, is about time to just get it, burn the stock and remove it from our watch list completely, because this is what it's doing. It is pinching between the anchored VWAP from the day that the stock started going crazily to the downside, and the anchored VWAP from the day the stock started going higher and higher from the lows. So it's actually pinching around these areas. That 54 area was pretty important for a breakout on couple days ago when the breakout actually happened, but now it's not that important as a day trade, and obviously volume going lower and lower and lower. So knee might be nothing to do. I think plug will be in the same basket for me, sadly. It is moving back down. It had a pretty good catalyst, but that catalyst not helping it stay strong. It had some sort of a $6 billion catalyst, but it didn't really help out the stock today too much, and it's not helping it going forward. So plug, I think this one 100% being removed from my watch list unless it moves all the way back down to $6, at which point we can possibly look for longs. So maybe we'll do that. Look for possible longs at 6. Stay away until then. DG finally consolidating in the high end of these ranges now, and it's pinching once again at those anchor VWAPs. So we'll just have to wait and see. I was looking for a little bit of a short today, but no move. It just traded sideways, basically held yesterday's lows and traded around yesterday's highs. So inside day on DG, volume also decreasing once again. The stock had made its bounce that it was looking to make off of that CEO catalyst, but right now the new anchor VWAP is a little bit lower. We're around 113, and we also have this range that we're kind of interested in from 113.50 to 112, I guess. So if the stock does drop down to these ranges, maybe we can think about a long. But DG, I think the play might be a little exhausted right now. It did make its move. I think the stock is looking to come back and find some buyers, so stay away from the long side for now until it actually moves lower, finds those buyers, and then maybe it pops back up. Snapchat stuck in this range, just absolutely stuck. It did try to break out above $9.75 up to $10 today, but once again failed immediately and stuffed right back to the downside. But this consolidation area shows me that they're fighting, right? Absolute fight between buyers and sellers, and once whatever side resolves, then we can join the party, but until then, stay away from the game. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we got the big tech. These streams are going longer and longer. I think this is what happens on earnings season because we have so many stocks to take a look at, right? So earnings season, obviously banger season, lot of notes, a lot of stocks to actually think about and trade for us. So we'll keep we have to be pretty selective, though. We can't trade a million stocks. We do that every single day anyways. We'll keep a watch out for all those stocks. As for a bigger basket of stocks over here, tomorrow on tomorrow on the economic calendar, we basically have nothing important except for 2 Fed members coming out at 9 o'clock in the morning. Fed Harker and Fed Mester coming up at 12:15. Today, Powell came on board at one point, or came on a podium at one point, and was talking, moving the market. But then climate protesters started disrupting the space. They had to shut it down and then bring it back up. So that was obviously a little bit of a nuisance over there on the market, because that moved the market up and down kind of drastically. And then once Powell started talking more and more, the market moved more and more and more. And basically how the market moved on when Powell was talking today, I think that is a pretty important indication as to what might happen tomorrow. I think the QQQ does drop down to somewhere around these lows near 357.50, and I think SPYs also go lower tomorrow. I think SPYs go all the way back down to this 422 areas, and I'm expecting that free fall Friday to really take place. SPYs are right around 430, 425 at the moment. I'm looking for a nice little move down to 422. What's that, around 1% or so? That's about 1%. So give me about 1% or more drop on this S&P 500. I would love it. But if this area holds in front of 420, then you want to be careful punching into new shorts or building new shorts going into 420. If 420 fails on the S&P 500 and we are actually clearing that area and going lower below 420, that opens up a lot of room for new shorts on the tech basket. So you want to look for, well, all basket in general. So you want to look for this 420 area giving on S&P 500, and you want to look for the QQQs to really give up the ghost over here in front of 355 all the way up to 356, 355. You don't want to see QQQs holding up in front of 355. If 355 holds, then QQQ easily just bounces back up to the north side. It could also bounce off of 351, but I think if 355 fails, that's enough of a trigger for you to look for a nice little move down into 350 on QQQ, and then the tech basket obviously should be already selling off drastically. For a big move down to 354 on the QQQ compared to where we are right now, that would be about a 1.5%, and a 2% move would be right back into the low of these ranges. That's why I don't think we see 350 tomorrow. A 2% drop on the QQQ, we haven't seen that for a while. But let me retract that statement, because for a while we've had the VIX right back over here, right? $13-12 or so. But now the VIX finally moving back up higher and higher. That could just open up the ranges. That could just open up the ATR, the volatility could come into play, and we could technically see that 2% move to the downside on the market. So get ready for that one if it ends up being that type of game that's being played on the market. 21 VIX, not a joke. Fear could open up on the game. So be ready, very ready for that one to play out. So I think maybe start off your day by looking at the VIX and see where the VIX is and where the market is. I will not be surprised seeing the QQQ down 2%, but I think S&P 500 with this base forming in front of 420 could easily hold up there. So be very careful with the 420 area on the S&P 500. Speaking of 420, and also looking at the clock right now, which is 10 o'clock, it's time for me to wrap it up for the night, ladies and gentlemen. So let me quickly head over to, I already did the economic calendar. I already did all the other stuff that I wanted to do, I believe, which is after hour movers and all the most active stocks on the day. So I'll give you a quick little glance at the watch list once again for anyone interested. Here's the watch list for tomorrow: Schlumberger, American Express, Netflix, Tesla, Las Vegas Sands, Alcoa, STLD, TSM, PG, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, J&J, AT&T, American Airlines, XRTX, ICU, Nubank, LBRT, Shopify, SWN, DKNG, Roblox, Carvana, Plug, and then a bunch of other random names that we don't have any notes for. So here's the thing. Feel free to pause the screen and read the notes if you are watching this later on in the day tomorrow, or before pre-market or something, kind of getting ready for some notes. So here's all the notes for you, and I will see you guys. Did I have F to black? Oh god, I didn't. Thank good. I will see you guys next week, because Fridays are my days off. So I will obviously see you guys next week, Monday, 8 o'clock. Please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. It's kind of sad to see the subscribe count just stop at 800 and not really go above 800 at all. So I would love for you guys to share it with your friends, share it with your family. If you know anyone who wants to, learn more about the stock market, especially from seeing my mistakes and seeing my wins, and even looking at possibly how I prepare for the next day, send them my link. I would appreciate it. All my social media links, you know where they are, right down below. All my affiliate sponsor links are also right down below, along with the code that gives you 15% off on the respective platforms. So please go check them out, as they do help me put some food on the table, because my trading is currently not helping me do that for the last 2 days. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Thank you for coming by, spending sadly 2 hours every single day for the past few days. This is what happens during earnings season. Our watch list keeps getting bigger and bigger. But for everyone who did stick around and was able to find any value in my rambling, I wish you the best in the market tomorrow, and I wish you an even better weekend. See you guys Monday, 8 o'clock. Ciao. Good night.